Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us today. Let's begin our session with a wonderful quote. Your pain is the breaking of the cell that includes your understanding. I am Shraddha Suryavanshi. I am your host today, international webinar on the topic Befriend Your Depression. I extend my warm greeting and a very good afternoon to all of you present here. For good mental health, focus on your well-being, nourish your body with regular exercise and a balanced diet, prioritize sleep with a consistent schedule and find way to be stressed, like meditation on or spending time in nature. Strong social connection are also key. Nourish a relationship with loved ones. Talking about SEMS Welfare Foundation, we are a Section 8 not-for-profit company registered under the Companies Act 2013 with various recognized for NITI Aayog, MSME, MPCOM, DDU, GKY, and more. Recognized as a startup by DIPP, MCI, and awarded the Best Service Award for national contribution. SEMS Group, with an active network of 5,000 professionals, published books, and an international journal, organized education and health camps for underprivileged children, promoted digital and financial literacy, and contribute to society. Our initiative, DG Saksham, has developed content for 300 plus courses in IT, BFSI, retail, entrepreneurship, impacting diverse age group. We have executed a skilling project for 600 inmates, signed MOs US for training, collaborate with various organizations, and conduct international conferences. Females, another SEMS initiative, empower women through workshops and newsletters, conduction, awareness program in digital literacy, marketing and career development across different industries. We have impacted over 1,000 women across states and recently celebrate a milestone of 100 women associated with the program. On behalf of the whole SEMS family, I welcome you all for today's international webinar on Befriend Your Depression. It is a great honor to have with us today's speaker, Sangeeta Param. We are grateful for your presence here with us today. So, Ms. Sangeeta Param is from Bangalore, who is an author, a poet, and a motivational speaker who advocates on mental health and its importance being a survivor. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder in November 2014. Since then, she had been on psychiatrist and psychological care under experts. After this, she started pursuing writing as a self-therapy and also published two books, namely C2 Acceptance and Echo in Ethics, which was published in 2017 and 18 respectively. By the middle of 2018, she had come to the realization that she could use her diagnosis as the strength rather than a weakness by talking about it. Mental health is a huge stigma in our society and is hardly spoken about. Even when discussed, it is often shut down with various reasons. She shares her own example to highlight mental health issues to the world and does not identify herself as a patient but as a survivor because every single day is a challenge to her. Having faced many difficulties during the assault, she realized that teenagers and young adults are susceptible to depression and mental illness due to lack of adequate information on the subject. She stand up to her diagnosis by openly discussing her difficulties and strengths, hoping to encourage individuals to seek help at the right time. Her passion for motivational speaking flourished as she began delivering talks at my school and college, eventually having the opportunity to speak at TDX, NET, CDX, and TED Youth. SINS, along with representing India, is India in six international councils on mental health. Her vision is to break the stigma surrounding mental health through her contribution to the field.
Thank you so much, Shraddha, for this warm welcome for the session today. And hi, everybody. Welcome to the session today. We're going to be speaking about Befriend Your Depression. And my name is Sangeeta Param. I'm from Bangalore. And so I first would like to thank everybody for staying on call because there was this difficulty in the technical difficulty, which I think we all can understand because when it comes to the human touch, I think this itself is a huge example of how technology has limited us from doing so many things which we usually would do it easily. Like, we would do, just picking up the phone and speaking or something like that would be so easy. But, all this whole Zoom call and the pressing the right button, how to share a screen, this, that, and all. So, yeah, so I think that itself is an important lesson for all of us that we need to take it slow. And so welcome everybody. And I would like to start by sharing my screen. So Befriend Your Depression. And as Shraddha introduced me. I'm an author, I'm a motivation speaker, I'm a mental health advocate. I'm from Bangalore, India. I'm 29 years old. And hi. So actually, I'm a little bit nervous today because I'm not really sure why. I think maybe because it's going to rain, and I'm very worried about the RCB CSK match today. So I think the whole of the country is waiting for this particular match. So I think I'm also a little bit on the rocks today. So what is depression? Depression is the mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed mood, lots of interest in activities, causing significant impairment in daily life. So this seems a little complicated, or as simple as it sounds, it's a little bit. Depression is something that you're sad, you're in pain, but you don't know why. Like, there's no particular reason why you're feeling sad or why you're upset, or, sometimes everything seems so difficult, and there is no words to describe it. That is the first, identification, that when you have no reason to feel sad, no reason to feel frustrated, that is the first step of identifying that there is so much more to the issue rather than something which is around you. So what is the world overview of depression? As you can see, 264 million people in the world of all ages suffer from depression. Only 1 out of 5 people seek help. 35% of adults with depression have no treatment or don't receive any treatment. And 8 out of 10 people consider suicide. And I would count myself as one of them. I know it's not something to be proud of, but I'm glad that I did not go ahead and cross that step. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. In India itself, 7.5% of Indians suffer from mental illnesses. 17% of the world's population of death due to suicide is from India. And the age group is between 15 to 39 years. Average 381 Indians commit suicide daily, as per a report on NDT. So yeah, this is all the technical issue and all the, not technical issue. This is like all the background and the story and what all I got from Google. This is not something which I made up. So this is now my story. This is something which I can share from my experience, and something from what I'm trying to do with this talk, or what I'm trying to deliver in today's talk, is it's okay to not be okay, and is to just be yourself, to just be proud of whoever you are, and I'm hoping to make a difference today. So yeah, I was diagnosed in November 2014 with bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder. And as I told you that this diagnosis came into step when I had my first attempt to suicide. So that was when I realized that I was at a point, like, I was going for a walk in the morning, and I woke up that morning and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't deal with this pain anymore. I'm done. I can't. I just can't. And then I just kept walking, and I live in a place in Bangalore where there is a railway crossing like very close to my house. So I was just contemplating, should I walk into the tracks or should I just walk in front of a bus? And there's this huge debate going on in my head, like which would be the most effective. But I don't know what happened at that moment. I just kept walking. I sat down in a park on a bench, and I just picked up my phone and I called my father. And I just I picked up the phone and called him, and he's like, usually when I pick his call, I ask him, "Are you busy?" Because I'm like, "Are you in a meeting or something like that?" And then this for the first time he said, "No, I'm not busy. What's up? Are you okay?" So when he asked me, "Are you okay?" and my first response was like, "I'm not. I'm done. I don't want to live anymore. I just want to die. I'm done." So he asked me, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm in this particular place." And then he said, "Give me 5 minutes. Give me a few minutes, not in 5 minutes. Give me a few minutes. I'll just call your mother, ask her to come pick you up, and I will call you back. I promise you, I'll call you back. Just stay there." So I'm like seeing my phone and I'm counting down like 10, 9, 8, 7. When is he going to call me? And then at 4, when I was counting down to 4, the phone buzzed and I picked up the phone and he said, "Yes, tell me. I'm here for you. Tell me what's going on." I'm like, "I'm done. I've been self-harming. I'm upset. I'm just like 20 years old and I just don't want to live anymore. I'm really done with this whole scenario. This whole scene is like, I can't do this anymore. I don't know what is happening to me. I just can't." My dad said, "It's okay. It's okay. Amma's coming. She'll come pick you up." And then she did. My another fear was, will my mom ask me to explain to her what and all I said or what is going on with me? Because when I myself didn't know what to tell them. So I told him that she's going to ask me so many things. I don't know what to tell him. My dad said, "She's not going to ask you anything. You just have to sit in the car with her and get home." I went home and my dad rushed home and my parents were like, "What happened? What do we do? What is this? What is depression? What is going on with her? She was such a happy child. What happened to her?" So I could, as children, we all have that habit to listen to our parents speak. Like we love doing that, even though we pretend not to know. But as children, as we grow up, we always want to know, like, what is the situation around the house? Like, is everything okay? And we end up, and we also, it's not just the bad things, it's also, we like listening to the good gossip also when they talk about relatives and stuff like that. It's amazing to have some good gossip around. So yeah, I was just listening to them and like, what happened to our daughter? And my grandmother was diagnosed with schizophrenia with postpartum depression, and my dad said, "I've seen this with my mother. I could not help my mother, but I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to let go of my child's hand." And that was when my whole depression or whatever was happening to me was the first time I told somebody that there is something wrong with me, but I don't know what is going on with me. That was the first time that something like that happened. And I was taken to a therapist. I was taken to a psychiatrist first, which is one of the biggest mistakes all of us make, because a psychiatrist is a person who will diagnose the symptoms. But what is causing those symptoms is diagnosed by or is dealt by a psychologist. We are only dealing with the symptoms here. So I have two illnesses. That one is the bipolar disorder, which is a problem of the brain. I have borderline personality disorder, which is the problem of a mind. So there are two things. There's the brain, which has bipolar disorder, and the mind, which has borderline personality disorder. So what is bipolar disorder? Bipolar disorder is a mental illness where I have extreme mood swings. So I have either mania or I'm having depression. It is not multiple personality disorder. A lot of people confuse bipolar disorder with multiple personality disorder. And there are two types of bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder type 1 is where mania is more aggressive in that particular person. Episodes of mania are more, and type 2 episodes of depression are more. So I am type 2, so I have more episodes of depression. I do have episodes of mania, but now for me the episodes of depression are much more compared to episodes of mania. Now this borderline personality disorder, this is the one where our personality has a lot of difficulties. It starts with low self-esteem. I'm addicted to self-harm. Like, I was addicted to self-harm, where I would do it like at least like twice or thrice a week, because our body is so amazing that we have platelets that immediately starts healing the wound, and it stops paining within a day or two, and that pain was not enough for me. So I used to self-harm more and more. And actually, to be very honest with you, I self-harmed like 3 weeks back, and I would not call myself a survivor if I don't face it. It would be a total hypocrite of me if I don't tell you that I'm not like just perfect all the time, because I know what this is. But 3 weeks back I had a dip, and there were certain things that was triggering me, and I could not hold myself back, and I self-harmed. And yeah, I'm not very happy about it, but I also am not beating myself up, because I know that I should not have, and I also know now what the trigger is, and I'm dealing with that trigger. So yeah, so I guess so when I was diagnosed, I was so relieved. Like when my doctor told me that you have this and this, usually when people get diagnosed, they'll be like, "Oh my God, what is going on with me. But when I was diagnosed, I was so relieved that I finally knew what exactly is my problem. Okay, now I know what the problem is, so I can figure out the solution. Now I can seek help. And there are people doing research on mental health. There are people talking about it. There are people there are other people who feel the same way like I do, which is such a huge relief for me, because all this while I thought that it was only me. I'm the one making it up in my head. Because when I used to cry a lot, my friends used to say, "You're just crying for attention. I mean, why would you be such a crybaby? Like, what is the big deal? Just move on, just let it go." Such statements used to drive me crazy because I could not move on. I could not let go because I didn't even know what the problem was. So yeah, I went for therapy, and that's when the Pandora box opened up, and I started dealing with what the symptoms that led to my depression, the symptoms that led to me having a personality disorder. So when I was very young, at 4, 5, I was bullied a lot. Like, I was bullied in my apartment where I have a younger sister. So we are 3 years difference, and so as many of, if you all are elder siblings, you all will know that we always make sure we protect our younger siblings. So yeah, we used to go to play, and then they would never play with me. They would just play with my sister. At the age of 5 or 6, you would wonder, they all are playing, but why are they not including me? So at that point of time, I used to think, like, what did I do wrong? So I only found the solution that if I apologize or if I thank them for being my friend, they'll allow me to play. So that was when the seed was sown of where I put my self-respect down, where I put my self-worth down, and I gave somebody else importance, and that's when people pleasing also started. So I would do things for people. I still do things for people beyond my comfort. Like, I would put my comfort secondary, and I would do something what is more important to them to make sure that they are happy. I still do that. I'm trying to let go of that behavior because it's something which is like, I grew up like that, but I think I'll get there someday. I'm not going to lose hope. My dad was diagnosed with cancer when I was 9. When I was 9 years old, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and at 11, he entered the final stage, and then he had to go to the hospital, which was like 300 kilometers from my house. And my dad and mom were there for 3 months, and it was very difficult because at that point of time, like, you are just in like 7th grade, and all your priorities in life are like so different. Like, our priorities was to come home, watch TV, go to play, and we used to collect Pokemon cards, and we used to do all that and play board games. But at that point of time, there was a point where I realized that death can come knocking on your door at any time. Like, I just woke up one morning and my parents are like, "You have to go to the hospital, you have to take care of the house, you have to take care of my sister, and you're going to be under the care of my grandparents." And it's like all of a sudden, overnight, things change. I had to iron my own uniform, I had to like do so many things, and it was a huge blow to my face. And I was just thinking that there's so much more to life rather than just I had to step up. I had to like, that is when I stepped up, and I realized that I should not tell anybody anything. I should keep my problems to myself. I don't want to become a burden to my parents because they are already undergoing something. So that's when I started keeping secrets. I started I decided I will not seek help because I will become a burden. So that is one thing that I kept a secret for so long that eventually I burst. I could not hold on to that pain for so long. I could not there is a saturation point to everybody. We can't always try to convince ourselves that the others have bigger burdens. We should not be a burden to them. There is a point that we forget that we are becoming a burden to ourselves. We are punishing ourselves so much. We forget to put ourselves first. So that started young, and then that kind of when I reached that point of that line where I could not hold on to it anymore, I had to face all these things, and it came out one at a time. But so before I attempted it, all of this came at once. But now I was dealing with it one step at a time, and I'm still dealing with it. It's not like something I have overcome. It's like diabetes. It's something like you have to watch out for your sugar. You can't eat too much sweet all the time. No, it's something, but once in a while sugar is good. Once in a while a spoon of ice cream is good. It's something like that. Mental health is something which you have to deal with, but you should not let it take over you rather than you can handle it. I think that's what mental health and mental health awareness is all about. Then I was sexually assaulted. I think most of us, let it be a man, let it be a woman, most of us undergo that a sort of abuse. It can be something it's not people consider only rape as an assault or as something which is big, which is also not considered very important in our life and time right now. But small little abuses also affect our mental health, because we don't realize that they are abusive as well, because we think that it is normal, because we are not taught that, the good touch bad touch is, we have to learn from it from TV, or like from TV shows or something like that. But I think education on good touch bad touch should be done more. And yeah, that also kind of increased my self esteem. I mean, it put it down so badly, and I only started thinking that, I am only a body to somebody, and I'm not a person. So all this led to the different kinds of things, like as I told you: insecurities, low self-esteem, feeling of worthlessness, negative thinking, depression. So all of the trauma that I built up for all these years led to this whole thing. And this whole thing comes under a personality disorder, that comes under borderline personality disorder, which I had to deal, or I have to deal it only with therapy. I still go for therapy. I go once a week for therapy, and there is no medicine to tell me that I am good enough. There is no medicine to tell me that I'm pretty. There's no medicine to tell me I'm worth it, because medicines can only do so much. But we also have to, we have to deal with our traumas, so that we are able to have a different, we take out the shades of the way we look at life, and put on new shades to see life, the same experience, in a completely different way. Like I've been seeing my life in, like, through a yellow glass, and all of a sudden my therapist told me that you can also see through a green shade, or you can also see through a red shade. It was very eye opening for me, that there is so many ways to look at the same thing, which I was looking at it as in such a huge way. In some places I felt very guilty. I felt very bad that I was the cause of this. And then my therapist made me understand that, why do you think you're responsible for this, when they are also equally responsible for this particular situation to happen? It was not you solely responsible for this particular thing. So I think therapy helped me see life in a completely different way, and see the same problem in a very different, and have a different approach to dealing with. And then coping mechanism. So yes, therapy, as I told you about therapy, it is very important. When you feel that you're not able to handle whatever is holding you back, sometimes emotions and feelings are so much that they literally cripple you into doing basic chores, like getting up in the morning and, even eating or making breakfast. That is when you realize that you actually need to seek help. There is no harm in seeking help. Nobody, like, you might feel that, oh my god, it's such huge stigma to go ask. None of us ask for help. It is so difficult when it comes to mental health. Okay, so when we have fever, or when we have a cough and cold, the whole world comes to us to tell us about remedies. Some people will tell us drink turmeric water. Some people tell us do gargling, do salt water gargling. Some people tell us eat tulsi. There are so many home remedies that a lot of people tell us. Like, any physical ailment, you tell anybody, you tell them even a basic, I have acidity, 10 people will give you 10 different solutions. But you go tell them, I'm sad and I don't know why, most people will not know how to react to it. And even if they do react to it or do tell you, it will make you feel, most of the time it makes you feel worse about yourself, because it is not going to get better. And most of the time you feel that you're being judged. So it's always more than a positive outcome. Most of the time it's a negative outcome that comes, because the knowledge and the information on mental health is so less in the world outside. No matter how much we try to, even I face that basic thing. Like, I go to work, I work in an insurance company. If I have a physical ailment, like if I have a bit of a fever, or if I have a bit of a cough, I will go to work. Okay, I will still go to work. But if I take leave one day and I'm not able to get out of it because I'm depressed, I feel so difficult and I feel so guilty that I have to take leave. And when I tell them that I took leave for this reason, that I was sad, they're like, I mean, you could have just come to office and tried. Like, you could have just come and sat, and you could have, you could have just relaxed and done some work. I'm like, I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to look at anybody. I just wanted to stay in my room. Why is it that so difficult that I can take leave for ment- a day off because of to attend to my mental health, rather than, why is it so difficult to understand that, when it is so easy to understand that I'm taking a day off for a stomach upset? So that is something which is so important that we hardly give attention to our mental health. We feel that it's not as important as our physical health, because we feel that if we physically take care of ourselves, we'll be able to take care of others. It is the same thing with mental health also. Unless we take care of our mental health, we will not be able to take care of anybody else's mental health, or we'll not be able to even physically take care of ourselves, because you're so tired, you're so mentally tired, and that you become physically exhausted. Medications, I am still on medication. I was on, like, when I started. So now, yeah, November 24 comes, means like 10 years. When I started, I was on like 18 to 19 medicines in a day. I was a complete zombie. Now I'm just on three. So I'm very proud of myself for that, because three, from 18 to three, is like a huge jump. And I'm very proud of myself for that. So, yay, me. And yeah, so medication is something that I'm very consistent. I make sure I take my medications every day, no matter what. And they are for my bipolar, because my moods keep changing. So I'm on a mood stabilizer. I'm on an antidepressant also. And I'm also on an antipsychotic that kind of helps me to be under control. But I know when I have symptoms, when I'm going into depression or I'm going into mania, because I'm able to identify those symptoms, because I'm more self-aware. And I was taught, my therapist taught me, my psychiatrist told me, these are the symptoms when you are going out of, when it goes out of control, because your mind kind of plays around with it. So when I'm going into depression, I know that I'm going into, when, and especially when I go into depression for no reason, that is a side effect of bipolar. So I know that, because I get moody, I don't have any interest in doing anything. I took leave on Monday because I was so I just started crying, and I called my dad and I'm like, I don't want to go to work today. I'm just so tired. I just want to lie down. Saturday and Sunday I did nothing. I was tired. I just slept. But Monday morning I was actually looking forward to going to work. I even I ironed my clothes and kept them ready, but I just couldn't do it. And I felt bad that I was taking leave because I was physically fine. Like what I just told you. Now I felt guilty about it. And I'm like, no, no, no. My dad is like, it's okay. You tell that you have a mental illness, you talk about it. You also should put yourself first. Take leave, just relax. And I did that. I slept the whole day, and I have a cat. We have two cats at home. So I slept with my cat, and he was by my side throughout. My cat can identify that I'm depressed, but human beings find it so difficult to just give you their space. Just be quiet and just be there. When animals are so they can feel that all you need is someone to just sit with you rather than try to solve your problems. And then I started writing. So writing helped me a lot. Like I would just pour out whatever I felt. A lot of people started asking me, why do you write such sad stuff? I'm like, I don't write sad stuff, but I try to write stuff which are empathetic and not sympathetic. That someone takes my book and just opens up and just reads a paragraph, and they'll be like, oh my God, this person knows exactly what she's talking about. Like I feel the same thing, because I did that when I was like, when I feel sad or when I get triggered, I go on to Google and I'll be like, quotes on depression, quotes on self-harm, quotes on anxiety. And I read these postcards or whatever the images, and I'll be so relieved that I feel relieved reading it from a phone, and I don't even know whether it is by somebody who's actually going through it. But I feel so relieved that I could read something I could relate to. And something, even though it's just on a phone and it's just something which is like, not real, I could relate to it, and that calmed me down so much. And I was just thinking that, if someone picks up the book and reads and they could relate to it, that, okay, this girl actually wrote it, or she's undergone this and she's writing it. It's not something that she, in the beginning of the slide that I told you, the first 3 slides, it is something I read on Google, but all the other slides is something of my story, which makes me feel that this is more real rather than the statistics and percentages I have put out there. Public speaking, this is something I decided because of my dad. So my dad, as I told you, he's a cancer survivor, and he gives talks as well as a survivor. Like, so he used to give talks to the cancer patients and cancer caregivers, and they used to be so, they would be so tensed, and because the word cancer itself is a huge stigma, right? So they would be so tense and they'd be so worried, why me, why did I get cancer, why do I have to worry about my last day and stuff like that, that my death is nearing. But when my dad said that, I know what it's like, I have undergone chemo, I know what it's like to have needles pricked all over me, and I could see the change in people's eyes. I could see a spark of hope in their eyes, that this man knows what he's talking about. I can stand there, and tomorrow I can go stand on stage and tell my story, because that is what they saw when they heard him. So I decided that, why don't I talk about mental health? First my parents were like, no, like, what will people think? Like, who will marry you? Like, you have a mental illness. Why would someone talk about all these things? I mean, it's a secret. Only four of us should know at home. I'm like, no, I told him, you give so much hope to people who have cancer. At least they know they're diagnosed for cancer. But people like me, I waited to cross the line to attempt suicide to ask for help, which is such a huge deal. I mean, if I would have asked for help 4 5 years before, I would not have even had to cross that line. I would not have even had to reach there, because it is so difficult to ask for help and you don't know how difficult it is. And my dad is like, that kind of makes sense. And I think you should, go ahead and do it. And then I started my journey in 2018, where I started talking. And I'm hoping, even through this talk, I don't follow the norms of public speaking, like where you come, you have a subject, you have a conclusion. I just talk what I feel like. I just talk whatever comes to my heart. I don't prepare anything. I mean, this PPT is just for show, okay? Like, Chuma, to tell you that I'm doing this and all, I'm being a major person, but it's not. I'm just a normal person and I'm just sharing you my story, because I don't want to show any. I mean, public speaking most of the time is hyped a little bit that, like you should be like perfect and all, but I don't believe in that, because I think that's the whole point, that it's okay to make mistakes, Like in between, I was blurry, in between, I said the same thing again. After a while, I think that, oh my God, I should not behave like this. But then I think that people make mistakes, it is a human thing, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to repeat the same thing, which I'm kind of doing again and again. So reoccurrence of depressive episodes. So yeah, I told, like I have like episodes that come and they go. Like I have sometimes which last for a very long time, which happened a few times, like in a year, twice or thrice it happens. For me, there's a lot of seasonal depression also. Like this happens in a lot of places in the West, because they don't have a lot of sunlight, and during winters it's very cold and people are always locked up in the room. There's no, like, going out and experiencing things and all that. So that causes a lot of depression, because the weather, it's like, even when it is a little bit gloomy, we don't want to get out of bed. So imagine having 3 4 months of gloomy weather. It kind of makes you depressed, because the air around you itself is a little bit depressing, even though it might seem romantic, but that is only for a little bit. I have depressive psychosis, manic depression, or bipolar disorder. So yeah, these are different kinds of depression that happens. But depression need not be particularly that you need to be diagnosed with bipolar, you need to be diagnosed with schizophrenia, or you don't need to have proper like diagnosis. Depression itself is a diagnosis. So how do you identify that you have depression? So there are two types, okay, there are two things that are depression. Okay, one is sadness, one is depression. How do you identify if you're sad or if you're depressed? So sadness is when you have rational thoughts, okay, like you don't want to like kill yourself or anything like that. But depression is that you will start thinking, what if I do this, or what if there'll be irrational thoughts, irrational realities. Sadness is when, like, it could be something small, like you feel sad for a bit, they just come and go. But depression is not like that. It keeps lingering in your mind, it's like always there, and each time it's always there, and sometimes it becomes big, it becomes small, but it never goes up. Sadness is not like that. It'll come, it'll go. You get distracted with something else, it'll come, it'll go, and it will not affect you as much. But depression is not like that. It's always there. But when you get distracted, it is still there, but it doesn't go away completely. In sadness, if someone comes and tells you, oh my God, you're amazing, like, why do you feel sad for all these things? You have achieved so much more. You actually feel a ray of hope. You actually feel better, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, okay, there's so much more to do. I can just let go of this. But depression is not like that. Someone will crown you the king or queen of the world. You'd be like, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm just tired. Like, none of those things will excite you. Nothing will, make you happy. But I'm not saying it as a bad thing, but that means you need to seek help. Nothing makes you truly happy from your heart if you are depressed. And I think that you have to seek help. And if you see these symptoms in somebody else, please don't hesitate to go and tell them. So these are the symptoms that I do. I lie in bed, I don't go to work, or like exactly what I told you I did on Monday. That's exactly what I do. But many of the people ask me, how do you identify if somebody else is depressed? So I was a person, I still am a person who will always, I love talking, okay? I think that's why I do public speaking. I love talking. So I love talking, and I'm always hyper all the time. And people always thought that, okay, she's so happy, she's so bubbly. But nobody knew that my happiness and over excitement and over bubbliness was a mask to hide my pain. So it was very surprising to people. She has depression. It's not possible. Even today, people don't believe. I'm like, I have suicidal tendencies, and if I tell them, they're like, no, not possible. You know, no way it's possible. That is another like. It beats me up even more because I'm like, why can't anyone believe me? Like, why is it so unbelievable? And when somebody you feel that they are in a little bit of a different space, or they're not being themselves, you just go sit with them, just ask them, are you okay? Just sit with them. You don't need to solve their problems. They just need a shoulder to lie down. You don't even have to solve it or fix it or anything. They just want to know that somebody is there no matter what. So that's the first thing that any of us should do when we find, not just when they're depressed, when we are going to help anybody, just ask them, are they okay? Are you okay? Do you want me to sit with you, or just be there for you? That itself is a huge you know huge thing for people like me, and people who undergo mental health crisis or anything like that. So these are the different coping mechanism. I take medication. I take it slow. Like, I don't push myself to more than I can do. Like, and I don't beat myself up when I'm not able to do the certain things that I was like. I make a plan and say I have to do this, and 1 2 3, okay, but I end up doing only 1 2 and 3 I have not done. I don't beat myself up that I did not do 2 and 3 and I've been postponing it. But I always give credit to one thing I did. Okay, I did 1 2 and 3. I have to try again tomorrow. So I will make sure that I try. But if I'm not able to do, I don't beat myself up that I didn't do it. So I also don't become, when I'm depressed, I become desperate. I'm like, oh, please, mania, come, oh, please do something, make the depression and the pain stop. So that doesn't help, because it will go when it has to go. I can't push it out, but it will go. It might take a lot of time. It might take even more time or less time, but it will go. And I just hold on. So I have undergone ECT around 40 times over 10 years. It's not like at one shot. Like, I have different, I told like 2 3 months when the depression goes beyond medication, beyond therapy, and I'm not able to function at all, they administer ECT. And I got my last one in Jan this year, actually. Yeah, I got the last one in Jan this year. And I make sure that when I am both depressed and manic, I inform my inner circle, that includes my family members. I tell them that I'm stepping into this. I need you to make me aware that when I'm manic, I want you to make me aware that I'm manic, and that's why I should not do stupid decisions or take stupid decisions. And when I'm depressed, also the same thing, not take stupid decisions in the negative way, because mania can make you very excited. Like, you feel like you're the king of the world, and then you take up so many projects, you're not able to sleep, you tend to make a lot of impulsive decisions which you will regret for sure, because after mania comes the dip. It's like waves. And and I always hope for the calmness, the calm tide, but there are times when a sudden tsunami occurs, but it still eventually leads to a calm tide, because the sea is not always rough, right? So what do I learn? Like, what is the lessons I learned during depression is identifying. Like I told you, I identify them. I know what are the symptoms. When I stop eating, or when I sleep too much, or when I don't sleep at all, I know that my moods are getting affected. I inform my family, I inform my doctor, and I inform my therapist. I make sure that they know that this is what is happening, because they are the experts, because the therapists and the psychiatrists know what is going on. Please inform your doctors if you're meeting them. Let them know that these are the things that you are finding different from your normal this thing. When we take any diabetic any medication for any physical ailment, if we have side effects, we make sure we go tell them, right? It's something like that. When you take BP medicines, you're like, say, putting on weight, you tell them that this medicine is making me put on weight. Can you like give me some other medicine or some other dosage, so that I don't feel that, or I don't have to put on weight for that. Mental health is also exactly like that. Taking baby steps, like I said, one step at a time. We don't, it's like solving a huge puzzle, a 500 piece puzzle. We cannot sit in one go and solve. We have to first find the corners and then work through towards the inside. That's exactly how it is for mental health also. Identifying that, or identifying that you need help, and you are going to seek help, and you're going to seek help, not because you'll become a burden to someone, but because you want to have a better life, and you want to be happy, not because of anyone else. It should be because of you, because you want to be happy. Reward yourself for small achievements. This I do majorly. Like this, I make sure that this is something I do a lot because I put lot of spotlight for things I don't do. Negative things, I put a huge spotlight on them. Like for example, like okay, to be very honest, like I put on weight, okay, a lot of weight, okay, and I was just like, oh my god, I put on so much. Like right now, when I was seeing myself on camera, I was like, oh my god, my cheeks and all have become so fat, and I'm like just thinking about that, and I'm like, are you? I put on so much weight. I'm feeling so bad. I was spotlighting on that, and then I realized that, okay, fine, I've been putting so much spotlight on that, let me like try to focus on something else. Is when I realized that I changed my specs. So I was looking at myself on camera, I changed my specs, and my power of my eye has come down by one. Like one coming down is a huge thing. And I there were two awards for it. One, I got new specs, and one, I can see better. And that is a huge thing because my eyes are not strained so much. That is an achievement, right? Because my medication were reduced, because I was in good behavior, because I worked on myself, my power reduced. So that is something which is a positive thing, and I reward myself for that. I identify that. Seek comfort, ask for help. We all have, make sure you get an inner circle first. Identify who's your inner circle. It could be your pet. Like my cat, he is my inner circle. Like I make sure I go tell him about my day and everything. Even though he doesn't care or he doesn't understand because he's a cat, firstly, they don't care. I just sit with him, I just talk to him, and you identify there'll be one or two people in your life, it could be a parent, it could be your spouse, it could be a friend, it could be a colleague, it could be I also have a dog friend at work. He's a street dog, and he kind of comes to me every day when I leave work. And if anything happens, I just tell him that, bro, I had such a long day today. This person was irritating me. Next time when he comes, growl at him. So I tell them, I share my thoughts with a dog, a street dog. I know it doesn't matter to me, but it seems stupid, it seems kiddish, but I think that it's a way of letting out, talking about it itself, letting it out of your chest.